Picture December 11th, 1964. A lanky guy in wrinkled olive green fatigues steps onto the pastel blue carpet of the United Nations. Diplomats from 114 countries lean forward, some ready to cheer, others already scowling. Washington tried to block his visa. The FBI tailed him from the airport. Outside, protesters yell, "Cuba sí, Castro no." Inside, he's got no speechwriter, no teleprompter, just 2 hours of raw fury aimed at the world order itself. When he's done, half the hall's on its feet, half storms out, and tomorrow's headlines from 5 continents will argue whether he's the bravest rebel alive or a reckless zealot with a medical degree. Tonight, we hit rewind. How did Ernesto Che Guevara land on that podium, and why does one speech still start bar fights and dinner table feuds? Before the beret and the beard, there was a wheezy kid with asthma in Cordoba, Argentina. Housebound afternoons meant Jules Verne adventures, dog-eared Marx, and Pablo Neruda's love poems. At 23, he and a rattling Norton motorcycle limped across a continent. He saw miners coughing blood in Chile, Quechua families booted off their land, lepers left to rot on Amazon riverbanks. Somewhere between the exhaust fumes and the Andean stars, the med student diary flips tone. It's not enough to ease pain. I have to rip out the roots. That single line is the fuse for every fire-breathing sentence he'll later throw at the UN. Flash forward 6 years. Sierra Maestra, Cuba. 82 guerrillas shrink to 22. Government patrols everywhere. And the asthmatic doctor is now Comandante Che. By campfire, he teaches illiterate peasants to read. By dawn, he taxes every army convoy that passes. Reporters who climb the mountain remember his whisper-calm voice and the stack of books, Toynbee, Trotsky, U.S. medical journals, stuffed in his ammo box. New Year's Eve, 1958, Batista flees Havana. Che's first decrees slash rent, hike wages, and, here's the kicker, hand plantations to the tenants who actually worked them. U.S. sugar barons wake up fearing they've just lost 1898 all over again. 8 days later, Eisenhower's cabinet meets and starts the trade embargo. The Cold War just burst the Caribbean at 90 miles from Key West. By 1964, the planet's sliced into 2 nuclear camps, but the global south is wobbling. 17 African nations have freed themselves since 1960. Viet Cong dig tunnels in the Mekong. Dominican students plot another coup against a U.S.-backed dictator. Washington's nightmare: one domino tips red, the rest follow. Enter the UN, meant to keep peace, now better known for walkouts and shouting matches. Che's mission in New York is simple: grab the mic, flip the script, and coax the third world onto Cuba's side. He opens almost gently. "We have come here to speak of Latin America." 30 seconds later, he brands the U.S. the most aggressive, most systematic, most bloody imperialism the continent has ever known. Cameras strobe. American delegates shift like kids caught cheating. Then the haymakers. Bay of Pigs. He names every village bombed and the 312 militiamen killed. The embargo. He quotes a gloating State Department memo predicting Cuban hunger and collapse. Guantanamo. A knife at our throat. Midway, he pivots to Vietnam, calling it the opening battle of the coming world revolution, and asks the hall for doctors, rifles, volunteers. Finally, Taiwan. How can this assembly pretend an island of 10 million speaks for 700 million Chinese? Cuba will vote for Beijing, he says, even if we stand alone. Half the room erupts in cheers, half in boos. He signs off with the line that'll one day sell 1 million t-shirts. Patria o muerte, venceremos. Homeland or death, we shall overcome. U.S. Ambassador Adlai Stevenson jumps up to reply. Cuban delegates thump their desks until his words drown. British dailies label the talk a propaganda masterclass. Pravda prints every syllable on page 1. Life magazine splashes a snarling photo captioned, "The Face of Hate." But the real action is in the corridors. Algerians, Ghanaians, Indonesians swarm Che, asking for Cuban trainers. Within months, Cuban doctors touched down in Guinea-Bissau and Algerian refugee camps. A still underground Nelson Mandela will later recall, "Those words made us feel we were not alone." Behind closed doors, the State Department pens a secret memo. "Guevara is the most dangerous man in Latin America. Isolate him at all costs." Speech done, Che slips away from the UN, catches a cab to Harlem, shakes hands with Malcolm X, hugs a bellhop, watches kids play stickball. Reporters lose him in a second-hand bookstore where he buys Walden. 2 months later, he resigns every Cuban post, shaves the famous beard, and boards a flight to the Congo. The planet's next sightings: Central African jungles, then Bolivian mountains where his internationalist dream ends in a dusty classroom. When the Bolivian army guns him down in October 1967, they find 7 notebooks in his knapsack, Swahili verbs, Congolese crop stats, and a final scribble. "My task is finished. The revolution will survive." Why does one UN rant still split living rooms? Because it distills a question that won't die. Can violence ever midwife justice? Supporters see a doctor who traded comfort for the wretched of the earth. Critics point to the firing squads, the labor camps, the guerrilla exports he championed. Either way, the speech outgrew the man. It became a playbook. Frame your fight as moral, global, urgent. You'll hear its echo in Mandela's 1990 U.S. Congress address, Chavez's 2006 devil quip at Bush, even Greta Thunberg's 2019 "How dare you?" Whether you wear Che on a shirt or burn him in effigy, the 1964 question lingers. Which side of history will we claim? Next time you spot that black-on-red silhouette, beret, hair peeking out, eyes locked on tomorrow, remember it wasn't born in pop culture myth but in a freezing December auditorium thick with Cold War smoke. One man told the assembled powers their rules were rigged, their empires fading, their debts to the poor long past due. The debts are still outstanding, the rules still feel rigged to plenty, and the argument he sparked is far from over. History rarely hands us neat answers. It keeps handing us choices. Che's speech is still alive because, like it or not, we're still making those choices every single day. If this felt bigger than a textbook footnote, good. That's the idea. History is a conversation, not a dusty list. Smash subscribe for more of those conversations and peek at our Cuban Missile Crisis episode to see how close that chat came to ending the world. Thanks for watching. If you'd ride a busted motorcycle across a continent for something you believe in, drop a comment and tell us what that something is. Stay curious, stay kind, and we'll catch you in the next video.